Yeah, so good morning, everyone. My name is Jasmine Flanders. I'm an undergraduate student at Rutgers University, New Brunswick, not Newark, but I'm excited to be here in Newark and show you the three dashboards that we've been working on. So if everyone has navigated to this website, if you just scroll down to the bottom, I guess we'll start with the Newark Integrated Dashboard. So if you'd like to click that link, it will redirect you to the dashboard. This Newark Integrated Dashboard, as the name suggests, is integrating a bunch of different data sources. So the purpose of this is to, create a data visualization tool that allows us to take a look at, different potential relationships between these data sources and, investigate whatever questions you might be interested in answering regarding these different services. So first, I'll talk just a little bit about the map here. We've got a map of Newark divided up by census block in the center. And if we click on one of these census blocks, then we can filter some of the surrounding data by that area, such as the census data, the Newark Connect data, and the eScooter data. I'll also just talk a little bit about some of the map tools we have here. We can zoom in or out using the plus and minus signs. We can also recenter the map using this little home button. There we go. And we can also select multiple census blocks or data points if we want to using, we've got this little rectangle thing here selected. So if we'd like, we can drag over a larger area and take a look at more census blocks and filter by that. Or if we'd like, we can do that using a circle or lasso tool here. And then also if we want to, drag around the map, we can use this little crosshair tool here, the pan tool, and then we can, drag the map around as we would like. So I'll just recenter that. All right, so first, another thing to mention about the map, we also have a few different options. So we can display the bus lines in the map here by clicking on that. So we can take a look at all the different bus lines moving through Newark. There we go. You can take a look at the bus stops across the city. And if we hover over, we can see, all the different intersections and streets these fall on. And we can also take a look at the different truck routes running through the city. Just takes a second to load, but, and you can hover over and see all these different truck routes. Okay. And then over here, I guess I'll go through each of these different panels and talk a little bit more about them and what they're showing us. So we've got the census data panel over here. So this shows us the total population for a selected area, the population density. If we select a certain census block, we can also see the median income for that area. We can see what % of the population is male versus female. We can see the racial makeup of a certain area and also take a look at so if you click on this panel, you can also toggle the map on and off. But you can also take a look at the Hispanic population if we'd like to do that. There we go. And we can also color the map in terms of these different census attributes using this color map by drop-down menu up here. So if we want to take a look at the population density versus the median income, we take a look at the senior population, or the population of different racial or ethnic groups. So if we want to take a look at the senior population, for example, we might click on that. And then this little legend here will be updated, showing us that these lighter areas indicate a lower population of seniors versus the darker areas with a higher population. But I'll just keep this at population density for now. Moving on down to the Wi-Fi activity panel. So if you hover over this panel with your mouse, you can see that you can click on it to toggle a display on the map. So I'll just do that. And if we zoom in, we can see a few Wi-Fi networks concentrated in the center of the city. And if we click on one of these networks, I'll take a look at, let's see, Broad, for example. Then we can filter this data down here for that network. And what this is showing is the 24-hour the amount of devices seen by a particular network. And this is for an entire week right now, but if we want to isolate just a particular day of the week, we can use this little drop-down menu and take a look at Fridays, for example, and see what the activity is like for that. And this is a historical set of data for just the past few months, but we're going to be getting more updated data soon. So I'll just take that off the map. And then if we take a look at the parking ticket activity panel, once again, when we hover over this panel, we see that we can toggle a display on the map. So what this is showing is a heat map of the distribution of parking tickets handed out over the selected month. So if we want to zoom in and take a look at these individual tickets, we can see some more information about them. But down here, similar to the Wi-Fi activity, we can just see 24-hour distribution of the average amount of tickets that are being handed out, across the day. And we can take a look at the hourly average. We can also take a look at the daily averages, and also the monthly total. Yeah, if you have a lot of layers toggled on the map, feel free to click the clear map button down here if you want to just get rid of everything. But if you want the census map back, then you can just click right back on this panel. All right, so moving along to the Newark Connect data, we have this panel down here. Let me just wait for this to, there we go. And once again, we can click on this panel and toggle the display. And what this is showing us is all of the individual requests across the city for the given selected month. So this data set spans a course of about like 2 years, a little over that. But this is just for January 2020 right now. Of course, we can select different months from that list. And what we have here is a pie chart showing all the different categories of requests. So if we hover over this pie chart, we can see, animal complaints versus water issues versus sewer issues, and if we hover over a particular category, we can highlight those requests on the map. We can also take a look at the distribution of the amount of days it typically takes to acknowledge these requests by category versus the amount of days it takes to close these requests. And we can see the total amount of requests for a particular month. We can also filter by, if we want to search a particular keyword, like if you want to take a look at pothole related requests, for example, then we can type that in the search bar. And it will filter all of this data accordingly. So we can take a look just on the map at where those pothole related requests are and see, what are the different categories of requests related to potholes. And if we want to get rid of that, we can just, backspace that, click enter. All right, great. I'll take this off the map again. Sorry. And that brings us to vehicle detection. So once again, we can click on this panel and toggle the display. So what this is showing is all the different CCTV cameras across the city. And if we zoom in here, we can take a look at these orange cameras are the ones that we have analyzed the footage for. So if we click on one of these cameras, like, let's see, Broad Street and Lafayette Street, for example, then we can see, once again, the 24-hour hourly activity of how many objects are detected moving through this particular intersection. And this is broken up by, different types of objects. So we can see how many trucks versus how many people versus how many cars, et cetera, are moving through a particular intersection. We have also just a few months of data for this, but we're working on, getting that up to date. And we can also take a look at different days of the week or just the full week if we prefer. So I'll take this off. And recenter the map. And that brings us to the e-scooter activity. So once again, we can click on this panel here and toggle the display. So what this is showing is these darker areas have the most concentrated amount of e-scooter activity. So what these values are showing here as you hover over the map is, along the course of an e-scooter route, it records the coordinates across, the entirety of the trip. So these dark areas are the ones that have the most recorded coordinates and thus the most, concentration of e-scooter activity. We can also display a couple other things in the map, such as the inflow. So when we hover over these different blocks, we can see how many trips are being taken to a certain area, with these darker areas having the most trips being taken to them. And we can also do the same thing with outflow, but then we just see which areas have the most trips being taken from. As we can see, most of the activity is concentrated here in this central region. And we can take that off the map again using this menu. So this is another historical data set spanning the course of a few months. And we could, of course, select different months if we're curious. And if we select different census blocks, then we can see the total amount of trips taken from that census block. We can see the average trip duration. We can see the average trip distance. And also we can see the hourly activity across a week. So as you can see, there's a lot of activity in late afternoon, evening, on weekdays. I guess that's about it for e-scooter activity. So that brings us to the water account data. So once again, we can click on that. And what this is showing us is all the different water accounts across status across the city of Newark as of November 2019. So we can see all of the active accounts versus the accounts for which the water has been turned off permanently versus vacant lands. And we can highlight those by, hovering over this here. I'll just take that off. Okay, we can take a look at the points of interest across Newark. Just wanted to keep the map, simpler, just to show what we're talking about. You can display as many layers at a time as you'd like, but I just didn't want it to get too crowded while I'm talking about it. So anyways, yeah, for the water accounts, so this is the water account status as of November 2019. And these accounts can either be, let's see, they either are active or they've been turned off permanently, or what this yellow is showing is accounts that are just vacant lands. So you can highlight those, using this menu here. All right, I guess we'll move on to points of interest. So I'll put that back up on the map. Right, so here we can see all the different points of interest across Newark, divided up by categories. So we can take a look at transportation, for example, shopping, various services. And if you hover over these, you can see a little bit more information about each of these categories. And if we'd like to filter for one of these categories, like food, for example, we can click on that category. And then if we hover over each of these individual points on the map, we can see some information about them, like the category and the name of the establishment. So if you want to you can zoom in and take a closer look if you'd like. Right, okay. So I guess we'll just talk about this last data source here, the air quality sensors. So once again, we can click on this panel here and toggle the display of various air quality sensors throughout the city. So if we click on one of these sensors, like maybe you want to take a look at the Clinton Hill Early Childhood Center, for example, then we can filter this air quality data for that specific sensor and see the latest air quality reading. So we can see the air quality index, which if we hover over these values, we can see some more information about them, concentration of certain pollutant, temperature, humidity. So yeah. I'll take that off the map once again. I guess that about covers it for the demo portion of this dashboard. We have a few simple use cases that we might want to take a look at. So we'll just take a look at a couple of these for now, and then you'll have plenty of time at the end, as I said, if you'd like to, take a look at all these different sources and how they interact. So one thing we might want to take a look at, for example, is where certain types of resident requests are the most concentrated. So if you'd like to, follow along with me, that's something you can easily take a look at by toggling the Newark Connect display on the map, like so. And then if we want to take a look at, let's see, maybe like rodent-related requests, then we can type that into the search bar here, or, whatever particular category you're interested in taking a look at. Yeah, so if we search by this category, then we can see, where are most of these requests being made, at least for this particular month. And we can hover over these and see some more information about them. And likewise, we can also just if there's a particular category on this pie chart here that we're interested in taking a look at, like, let's see, environmental complaints, for example, we might click on that and we can see most of them are concentrated in the center of the city here. Let's see. Another thing we might be interested in taking a look at is how the Wi-Fi network activity varies at different times of the day and different days of the week. So as I said before, that's pretty simple to take a look at. If we click on this panel here, then we can toggle the display on the map. It takes a few seconds to load. So, all right. So if we take a look at the Newark Connect panel here, we can click on that and we can toggle the display of all the requests on the map. And then is there a particular category you'd be interested in looking at, or maybe a keyword you want to search up? And then that will filter all the requests on the map. Yeah, so if we want to take a look at a different month, then we can use this drop down here and see how they change over time. All right, so maybe I'll move on to one of the other use cases. We'll just do a couple more and then we'll move on to the next dashboard. So another thing we might want to check is how Wi-Fi network activity varies at different times of the day and different days of the week. So I will just click on this to get rid of the Newark Connect data on the map, and we can take a look. Okay, there we go. And we can take a look at the Wi-Fi activity by clicking on this panel. And this will show, the different networks in the center of the city. So if we zoom in on the map, maybe we're interested in taking a look at, how much traffic is moving through this area on a Friday afternoon, maybe. So we can select Friday and we can take a look. We can click on these different networks and see how many devices are being registered in these different areas, and thus see how many people are moving through these areas. So we see a little bit more activity in this, more central area around Broad Street, and, less so in other areas. Right. So that might be something interesting to take a look at. I'll just recenter the map. We'll just take a look at one more thing. So maybe we want to see which areas are using e-scooters the most and where most people are traveling to or from. So as I said before, we can toggle this by clicking on the e-scooter activity panel here. And we can see these darker areas have the most amount of points, therefore they have the most e-scooters moving around in them. We can also see which areas people are traveling to the most by using the scooter inflow display, this drop-down menu here. And this will show, if we hover over these different blocks, we can see how many trips are being taken to a particular area for the given month, right around where Penn Station is, I believe. So lots of people like grabbing an e-scooter from there, I guess. And then likewise, we can use the scooter outflow map and see where most trips are being taken to. You can see a little bit more activity in other parts of the map here. So I guess a lot of people are picking them up over here and, moving down to this area or over here outwards from the center of the city. So that's another interesting thing that we can take a look at. So these 4 stations here are stations that our project has set up. So yeah, we only have 4 stations right now. And then these 4 down here we're actually getting from an online platform. They're just publicly available air quality stations. So this is all that we have right now, but I guess we're planning in the future to set up some more air quality stations around the city. So I guess that concludes, this is the big dense one that has a lot of information about it. All right.